Hello, everyone. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone for joining us today for this March Open House virtual event. Um, Please know that this session is being recorded and it will be uploaded to the Waterloo website shortly after. And secondly, please know that we will host an Ask Me Anything session after our formal presentation. So during that portion, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them into the chat box. Or if you'd like to, you can unmute yourselves um, and, and ask your question there. But with that being said, the chat box is also in the right hand corner of your screen, so feel free just so you know where it is. And with that being said, we have a great hour planned for you with a presentation, and then, like I said, a Q&A session. And without further ado, I'll introduce our moderators for today. We have Ethan and Noor, who will be talking about AFM and SFM here at the University of Waterloo. But with that being said, I will pass it over to Ethan.
So hi everyone, good afternoon. I would just like to start by acknowledging that the University of Waterloo and much of the work we do takes place on the traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples. Now our main campus is situated on the Halderman Tract, which is land granted to the Six Nations that includes 6 miles on each side of the Grand River. So hi, I'm Ethan. My pronouns are he, him, and I am a second-year Sustainability and Financial Management student. And over the next 30 minutes, we'll review 2 undergraduate programs that are provided by the School of Accounting and Finance, Accounting and Financial Management, and Sustainability and Financial Management. So when it comes to Computing and Financial Management, or Math CPA, or Biotech CPA, the Math and Science faculties will be speaking about these programs. So today we will simply focus on AFM and SFM.
And I'm Noor. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a first-year accounting and financial management student. After our formal presentation today, we're going to move into, as Megan mentioned, the 30-minute Ask Me Anything session. And at that point, you can have the opportunity to ask our student panel your questions, either through the Q&A or by raising your hand.
So let's talk about how the industry is changing. As you may know, disruptive technologies are revolutionizing business. To compete, it's not enough just to have a foundation in accounting and finance anymore. Driving digital transformation, reimagining business, advancing social, environmental, and economic impact, these are just a few of the big challenges that next generation's leaders are going to face. That means, as a future accounting and finance professional, you'll need a broad understanding of technology, business analytics, sustainability, and innovation. So good news, SAF has you covered. By tapping into one of the most innovative schools of accounting and finance in Canada, you'll develop the competencies today's employers demand, from technical skills to transferable ones. So some of these include problem solving, communication, collaboration, and critical thinking.
Now, let's dive deeper into our AFM and SFM programs, starting with accounting and financial management. As an AFM student, you'll study at the intersections of accounting, finance, and business, all the while immersing yourself in diverse topics that give you the flexibility to design your unique pathway. You'll also collaborate and lead by working together with your classmates to build financial expertise, analyze critical business issues, and understand the environmental, social, and governance-related complexities that today's organizations face. You'll also lead peers in tackling problems and develop your entrepreneurial mindset. You'll also learn transformative tech by discovering how technology impacts business and how to successfully leverage it. You'll also nurture your analytical skills by learning how to work effectively with data. And you'll skill up to step up by building strong analytical and people skills, teamwork, relationship building, communication, and all of that is done through tutorials, workshops, conferences, and competitions. Simply put, you'll be diving into collaborative, problem-based courses, and then you would apply your learning to the real world through co-op work terms and co- and extracurricular experiences. AFM students also specialize in standing out. Career specializations separate you from the crowd and are crucial to becoming future ready. After you build a solid foundation in accounting, finance, and business in years 1 and 2, you'll customize your degree and follow your passions in years 3 and 4 by selecting up to 2 career specializations. These specializations are the professional accountant specialization, which fulfills the requirements for a CPA designation, the entrepreneurial mindset, which prepares you to think from a new venture perspective, Financial leadership, which helps you build negotiation and leadership skills for the C-suite. The financial market specialization, which supports you in attaining the CFA designation. Business analytics, which equips you to manage, forecast, test, and optimize data in decision and policy making. And then we have the sustainability specialization, which builds knowledge in capital markets, government policy, and corporate sustainability. In addition, all AFM students are required to complete co-op for good reason. While coursework builds your knowledge, nothing accelerates your professional development like real-world experience. AFM students have four-month paid co-op work terms, where you can work as a fixed income analyst, a finance officer trainee, a junior financial analyst, a business analyst, an auditor trainee, an IT finance assistant, a staff accountant, and an accounting assistant. You can also earn on average between $18 to $23+ per hour on co-op, and our co-op employers include Deloitte LLP, RBC Financial Group, PwC, Home Trust Company, Manulife Financial, and Molson Coors Canada. Overall, AFM graduates become finance experts who can harness the power of technology to transform industries, positively impact global economies, and build a more diverse, inclusive, and sustainable society. Now here's a quick snapshot of the program. In total, AFM students take 40 courses, 13 of those are electives. And out of those 13 electives, you have to choose at least one or two career specializations. If you decide to complete one specialization, you can use your remaining electives to complete a minor or simply take courses that interest you at the University of Waterloo. As for professional designations, you can work towards a chartered professional accountancy or a CPA designation, a chartered financial analyst or CFA designation, a chartered business valuator or CBB designation, and you can work towards designations offered by the Canadian Securities Institute or CSI. And you'll graduate with a Bachelor of Accounting and Financial Management degree or a BAFM. And as for offers of admission, the AFM Admissions Committee will conduct their first round of offers in early March, a second round of offers in early April, and the third and largest round of offers in early May. Lastly, the number of first-year spots available for AFM is 300.
Okay, so next we're going to have a look at the SFM program. So the Sustainability and Financial Management program is the first of its kind in Canada that has been carefully created to respond to the current and growing labor market in the fields of sustainable finance and accounting. So we've seen an explosion of attention surrounding the connection between environmental issues and corporate interests. Because of this, an entirely new movement within the financial sector has shifted the industry away from traditional views and approaches of the past. So as a result, CPAs will now need to be as conversant in natural systems and social impacts as they are in financial outcomes. They'll play a central role in the strategic establishment of sustainability objectives and will fill the need for measuring, reporting, and certifying both fiscal and non-fiscal activities of a firm. Meanwhile, CFAs will be held to a much higher level of accountability. Now, with ESG practices moving stock prices just as fast as financial factors, sustainability will play a central role in raising capital. They'll also be responsible for not only delivering portfolio returns, but also vetting the practices of the companies that they endorse. Because of all this, staff partnered with the Faculty of Environment at the University of Waterloo and designed a program that, again, meets the specific demands of this emerging field. Apologies. So the SFM program is a highly student-centered program that goes beyond knowledge and professional certifications. You learn how to tackle the different kind of issues that dominate the field of sustainable finance, known as wicked problems. And like the name suggests, these problems defy simple definition, clear boundaries, and discipline-based solutions. To solve them, you must be able to handle rapid communication styles, deal with a high degree of uncertainty, and be able to handle fluid collaboration that evolves as problems do. Plus, we want to stress that SFM courses are meant to be experienced rather than taught. Therefore, through team and problem-based learning, you'll discover the keys to thriving in a fast-moving, high-pressure environment, all while learning to make decisions with imperfect information. So like AFM students, SFM students specialize in standing out. After building a solid foundation in sustainability in years 1 and 2, you can customize your degree and follow your passion in years 3 and 4 by selecting one of the 3 career specializations. So the first specialization is corporate sustainability, which will prepare you to work in the financial departments of companies or to work as part of a team establishing sustainable practices within firms. Now, if you're interested in pursuing a CPA designation, this would be the career specialization you would take. So our second career specialization is called Government Policy and Financial Markets. This prepares you to work within governance channels, either establishing government policy and regulation, or leveraging financial market mechanisms to achieve sustainability objectives. If you're wanting to pursue a CFA designation, this would be the career specialization you would complete. We also have the Indigenous Entrepreneurship specialization. Now, this provides Indigenous students with foundational training in financial management and sustainability, and these students will dive deep into business strategic development, enabling them to start their own business ventures or contribute to the growth strategies of existing organizations. So combining a career specialization with up to 16 months of paid on-the-job experience, you'll become a sought-after finance expert with purpose. You'll incorporate people, profits, and the planet into the bottom line, all while evolving environmental, social, and corporate governance reporting that'll lead organizations to a greener world. Potential co-op opportunities include a sustainability analyst, a financial analyst, a ESG internal reporting associate, and a business analyst. So then again, this is paid experience. So on average, you'll earn between $18 and $23 per hour on co-op, and some of our co-op employers include Deloitte LLP, RBC Financial Group, Environment and Climate Change Canada, Sustainable Waterloo, and Main Life Financial. So in total, just kind of overview here, SFM students take 40 courses, 3 of which are electives. Now you can work towards your CPA, CFA, or CBV designation, and you'll graduate with a Bachelor of Sustainability and Financial Management degree, or a BSFM degree. So as for offers of admission, the SFM Admissions Committee will communicate the first round of offers in early March, a second round of offers in April, and then a third, the largest round of offers, in early May. Lastly, the number of first-year spots for SFM is 60.
Now, we've kind of mentioned professional designations a little bit so far, so let's look at the 3 most popular designations that SAF students work towards. Starting with CPAs. Have you ever heard about the Chartered Professional Accountants, or CPAs? Are you familiar with what they do? Well, CPAs play a key role within the economy. They offer a strong set of accounting and managerial skills required for today's complex and evolving business world. They also possess a unique mindset and perspective that makes them broad-minded and forward-thinking. Are you interested in becoming a CPA? If so, you're in luck because SAF holds the highest level of national accreditation through CPA Canada. What that means is that if you combine your undergraduate degree in AFM or SFM with our Masters of Accounting or MAC program, which is an additional 8 months, you can 1, earn up to 16 months of professional work experience, which can be applied towards CPA's 30 months of required work experience. And 2, you'll have the ability to write the Common Financial Final Examination, or the CFE, the last exam for the CPA designation, immediately following successful completion of the Masters of Accounting. As a result, you get a direct route to the CPA designation in as little as 5 years.
So what's the difference between a CPA and a CFA? Well, a CFA demonstrates a strong foundation in advanced investment analysis and portfolio management, accompanied by a strict emphasis on ethical practice. So if you're interested in earning a CFA designation, you're in luck, because SAF is recognized under the CFA Institute University Affiliation Program. What this means is that the AFM and SFM curriculums fulfill a minimum of 70% of the CFA Program Level 1 candidate body of knowledge. Now this covers academic theory, current industry practice, as well as ethical and professional standards to provide a strong foundation in advanced investment analysis and portfolio management skills. You also have access to all the levels of the CFA program sample exam and access to 15 CFA program awareness scholarships worth $1,000 each year. Now, that means in 4 years, you'll earn a unique degree that's recognized in the workplace, up to 16 months of professional work experience that can be focused in the area of finance, and the ability to challenge the CFA Level 1 and Level 2 designations exams by the time you graduate. Then, after you graduate, you can write your Level 3 exam. Now, this is typically after 1 year of self-study and work experience. So again, AFM and SFM provide you a direct route to the CFA professional designation.
The third professional designation that you can work towards in AFM and SFM is a Chartered Business Valuator, or CBV. As a CBV, you help determine the economic value of a business or company, including finding the fair value. You'll be able to determine the sale value, establish partner ownership, and taxation. Students in the Masters of Accounting receive advanced standing in the Canadian Institute of Chartered Business Valuators, or CICBV, program of studies. They do this by successfully completing the Business Valuations course, which is offered in the MAC program. Now, I should also mention that the Masters of Accounting program is exclusive to our staff students only.
So that's it for our formal presentation. At this point, we would like you to answer any of your questions during the Ask Me Anything session. Again, you can submit your questions either A, through the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, or just by unmuting yourself. On our panel today, we have 3 SFM or AFM students. And before we start though, I'd like them to introduce themselves, and we'll start with Victoria.
Hello, my name is Victoria. I'm a first year AFM student. And yeah, it's so nice to be here. Thank you everyone for showing up.
Okay, let's move on to Madeline.
Hi, I'm Madeline. I'm a first year SFM student, and I'm really excited to answer any questions anyone has today.
Awesome. And Daniel?
Hello, my name is Daniel, and just like Victoria, I'm also a first year AFM student.
Okay, so remember, if you have any questions, you can pop them in the Q&A box. I believe we already have a few in there, and we can move on from there. Give me one moment.
To start off, we have, I think to start off, we have one quick question for our panelists just to get things going is why did you choose your program, whether that be AFM or SFM? We can go in the opposite of the order that we just went. So starting with Daniel.
Yeah, so in high school, I was really good at math. And from what I learned in like the beginning level accounting classes in grade 11 and 12, I really enjoyed the kind of math they did. So I just thought the AFM would be a good fit for me.
Yeah, I'd say one reason why I chose SFM is because I was really interested in finance in high school. Grade 12 economics got me really interested in financial markets, so I knew I wanted to do something in accounting and finance. But my lifelong passion has been sustainability because I really care about the environment, and I know it's going to be very prevalent in our future business markets. So I thought that SFM would kind of be the perfect combination of my passions for the financial markets and sustainability.
The reason I chose AFM was because I actually didn't know what I wanted to get into, but I knew that AFM and accounting and financial management is just a very it's a very practical degree to have because it's you can use it in your everyday life as well, right? And there's a lot of great co-ops out there, and it's just a great chance to like apply it to anything you do, even if it's not going into strict accounting. You can use this degree in whatever you want.
Yeah, that was some great answers. And I believe we have a lot more questions popping in. So I guess I'll ask kind of the first one and then give it to the floor. And I guess we'll go in the opposite order that we went last time. But we just have a question about what sorts of options are there with respect to dorms. So they also asked whether this is mandatory in first years and second year or one or the other. So maybe one of you can take it away, and then if there's anything else that anyone wants to add. I don't know which one of you are in dorms, so.
So I am in a dorm. I'm in UWP. So basically how dorms work is I believe we have 3 areas, no, 4. So there's UWP where I live in. It's very nice. There's a lot of suite style, which I'm in. So basically you have like a few roommates. I think it's up to 4 roommates, and you guys have your own rooms, and you guys have a shared kitchen, and it's very nice. So, and I think the other options is MKV, V1, and Rev. So I've been to all 3. They all have really nice rooms. I believe V1 is where you share a washroom and everything with the whole floor. but all my friends who are in V1 have like really good connections with everyone around them. So if you're more into like making friends, especially in first year, it's really good to try to get into V1 because, or I believe the other two also have those kind of options as well. And it's just very good to meet everyone like that.
And then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they're not mandatory either year. But if you apply on time in first year, you are guaranteed admission to a dorm. So you will have a room, assuming that you submit an application on time for a dorm room. So that's kind of how that works, but they're not mandatory either year by default. No. Or I don't know if you want to take the next question.
Sure. So I see one question here for AFM. Daniel, if you'd like to take this one. And they're asking that they know some programs in some universities don't allow you to minor in anything. So is that the same for AFM, or how do minors really work in this program?
So for AFM, all the courses that we take in our first and second year are basically set until we choose our specialization. And then from there, there's also more electives we can choose. Because I know in second year, we only get one elective of our choice. But then it opens up to a lot more in third and fourth year. So there's a lot more flexibility in those last 2 years, I guess. Yeah, but the first 2 years, so first year and second year, every course we take is selected for us, so it was pretty nice.
So I'll move on. So there's a question about the SFM program quickly. So it says, they want to understand, like, can you obtain a CPA designation, and are you eligible to work in external audits with, like, I'm assuming public accounting firms. So I don't know, Madeline, do you want to take that? If not, I can. Yeah, you can take it.
Yeah, sure. I can take it and just like, you can feel free to add on anything if I missed it. But basically, like SFM, you can pursue the exact same designations. Like it's structured in a very similar way in that in third year, we can choose to go off into CPA or CFA. And so we can pursue those designations on the exact same path as AFM students. So yeah.
Yeah, and the only other thing that I would add is a lot of the people that are in second year SFM right now, including myself who are on co-op term, a lot of us have just regular accounting or finance co-ops. So yes, by all means, you can get all the any CPA position or finance position that you were hoping to get. Yeah, you can get it as an SFM student.
Okay, I see another question about co-op. Victoria, maybe you'd like to take this one, and they're asking, will there be a limit as to the location of our work terms? So for example, if they find one that's too far away, do they need to find somewhere else to live, or can they commute? How does that really work?
So anyone can add on to what I'm saying if I missed anything, of course. But from what I know, a lot of my peers are trying to find co-ops that are near where they originally come from. So there's a lot of Toronto co-ops that they're hoping to go for. So I'm pretty sure you can apply to co-ops at any location, but you do have to make sure that you're able to get there.
And to add on really quickly, like talking to some of the upper years in like clubs and other like societies, for example, a lot of them, they might be subletting where they live and then staying somewhere in Toronto, for example, if they don't live in the GTA. And Toronto, for example, is where their co-op is. I know some people, for example, are going all the way to BC. And even if they don't come from there and they're living there for the term. And so it's a great way to sort of expand your horizons, go visit new places if that's what you're interested in as well. So that's something to add about co-op work term.
And I see another question about SFM in the chat. So they just asked, why did you choose SFM and not farm? And what's the difference between the two programs? So I don't know, Madeline, do you want to, like, I can jump on and I can give or Jesse will also provide a kind of overview, I think, there. Yeah, so I'll leave it to the floor now. Madeline, I guess suppose you can start.
Yeah, so if I'm not mistaken, FARM stands for Financial Analysis and Risk Management. So that's more of like a direct like finance math-ish program, but I was interested more so in SFM because it has that sustainability component. whereas Pharm is just kind of more of like a math finance program. I thought I could distinguish myself more with the SFM program, because like I'm doing courses right now that kind of like teach you the inner workings of not only like the foundations of the environment, but how that applies to business ventures. So, yeah, the main reason why I went into SFM and not other programs is because I had a passion for sustainability that no other program here kind of offers. So, yeah.
Oh, Jesse, sorry, we're not able to hear you. Well, I can kind of wrap it up if you want. Yeah, so personally, like I chose the SFM program over kind of any other program just because it kind of broadened the horizons a little bit. I think when you're looking at a program, there's ones that are very specific and you're going down one avenue and that's kind of, that's kind of all the choices you have, where in the SFM program, it's a little bit more broad. Perhaps it's not as broad as like a commerce degree, but it was broad and it's what I wanted to do. So I focus in finance, and so it was really like a good option for me. And then adding that sustainability piece has just been crucial for not only my job search but also kind of future prospects. So that's kind of why I chose it. And I think Jesse answered in chat as well, so he'll give a more rundown answer of exactly the exact difference between Pharm and SFM. So if you're looking for that, you'll find it in the chat.
Yeah. Daniel, I think we have a question for you, and that's, are there any programs for business entrepreneurship or management? Because the person's saying that they think this meeting is for accounting and finance. So is there any way to learn more about those programs or those subjects within the School of Accounting and Finance?
Yeah, so I would say that AFM is very well-rounded in terms of the type of business classes we take. So although we focus on accounting and finance every semester, we also take like a bunch of business classes. So this semester I'm taking like entrepreneurship class where I'm focusing on like a real world problems, and I'm like designing a solution for it. And just like various assignments that's due every other week. So yeah, there's also like a lot of management classes we can take in year 2 and 3. So I'll say that's like one of the benefits about AFM. It's not just accounting and finance. We also like focus on other areas too.
And to add on, there's also the specializations, which can really help you. For example, if you want to go into entrepreneurship, that's something that you could further explore in third and fourth year as well. But even within just first year, as Daniel mentioned, we have like an entrepreneurship course, we have a general business management course, a lot of other opportunities to explore your interests. Extracurriculars, of course, are also a great option. So yeah, we kind of have something for everyone within accounting, finance, and business. That's that. Yeah.
And I think there's kind of a joint question here. So someone's asking, is it possible to transfer from AFM to SFM or vice versa? I mean, I can give a little bit of background on this. I'm sure Jesse can probably go a little bit more in depth than I can, but yes, you can transfer between the two programs. Now, that just kind of the timing of the transfer is kind of crucial. In first year, it's a little bit easier because you haven't taken as many classes, and the required classes for your degree you won't have taken as many, and you can kind of catch up. Maybe it's only one extra class that you need to take. But the further and further you get in your degree, it gets harder to transfer just because you need to have that base mandatory amount of classes that you need for whether it's the AFM degree or the SFM degree. So obviously, the further along you get, you're going more and more down the path, and so it's harder to transfer in the later years. But if you're looking maybe like in first year, even early second year, it's usually can be sorted out fairly well. I don't know if Jesse has anything else to add. I'm sure he'll throw it in the chat. Okay, I think we got a thumbs up on that one.
Okay. There seems to
this
be
one.
a general question for students. If Victoria, you want to take this one, and they're asking, are there any discounts that full-time students can use, for example, for laptops, technology, anything along those lines?
So I'm not too sure about discounts, but I do know that there are places where you can buy textbooks. So what we have here is there's like a used textbook place where you can sell your textbooks or buy other textbooks that were like sold. and they're secondhand, so they're very handy. They're good for reference. Like for example, I bought an economics textbook for the second year economics class that we're going to take, and it was like $10, I think. So it's a very good way to find other reference material. But if anyone knows about the technology side of things, please feel free to add on to what I said.
I know a little bit. Essentially, I think the only people that offer like discounts, I don't know if we offer any like straight out of like the School of Accounting and Finance, but a lot of places, I know Microsoft's a big one. Typically for students, they'll offer like slightly better pricing, just like externally. So it doesn't necessarily have to do with the University of Waterloo or the School of Accounting and Finance. But as long as you have like student card and proof of enrollment, you can get like a better price. So that's probably what I'd recommend. I think a lot of companies do that external where you can get discounts. It's not directly associated with the School of Accounting and Finance or the University of Waterloo. And I think this is more of a curiosity question, but I want to ask all our students, okay, what has been your favorite class so far? Because I'm always curious about that, and I feel like a lot of people won't know which class, or what, they want to know like what classes they're going to be taking. So let's start with everyone's favorite class. I don't know who wants to go first. Maybe Victoria, you can go first, and then we'll kind of slink through everyone.
So out of all the classes so far, right now, at the top of my head, I'm enjoying the finance course that we're taking right now a lot because it goes into stocks. And before this, I didn't really like touch stocks or anything because I was like, oh, like I don't know like the entry point to like get into stocks, right? But this finance course it's very practical, which I think is very important because it just gives you a starting point. It gives you a basic understanding of how to invest, and that can be applied to like everyday life again, which I think is very valuable.
Sounds good. How about you, Madeline? What's your favorite class?
Yeah, I just to jump off of that, I really like AFM 121 as well because like yeah, the world of stocks can kind of be they can be really intimidating, especially for a high school student. But in this course, you take a few weeks to just learn about like the foundations of the financial markets before you get into like stock valuations and stuff like that. So they ease you into it really well, and it is actually like a really good and practical course. And another course that I really enjoyed that's like SFM specific is SFM 101 because each week we had very different like specialized topics. Like one week we learned about like green marketing, and then we learned about green finance, and then we learned about like international conferences um like so I'm completely blanking out, but like the Paris Agreement, stuff like that. And so I thought that was a really interesting and applicable course for me as an SFM student.
Okay, Daniel, you want to go?
So for me, I would say it would be my data analytics class because there's like so many different parts that make up for it. So there will be like a little bit of coding aspect, but most of it is made up of math. And like I mentioned before, I really enjoy doing math. So I feel like it has been my favorite class.
Sounds good. I don't know. Who do you want to answer that?
Okay, for sure. I think one course that I really enjoyed this semester is speech and communications. It's kind of like a persuasive or a presentation style course. And one thing that I really like about the program in general, but it really shines in this course, is the fact that it focuses very much on making a well-rounded student or a co-op candidate or employee in the future, right? And so on one hand, you're learning data analytics, you're learning finance, you're learning like these more technical skills, but you're also being taught these soft skills that are just as important in the workplace. And so, for example, one of our biggest assignments was an individual presentation, 5 minutes in front of the class, right? And that's not something that everyone is initially very comfortable with, but we got to do a lot of practice. We got to talk with teammates and talk with the professor. And it really was, or still is, a very fun class. And I really enjoyed being able to work on those skills that I might not have otherwise touched if I didn't take that class.
Sounds good. I guess I'll wrap up. I'm glad there's not any other second years on this call, because I'm going to say really controversial class, which is AFM 205. And a lot of people don't like it because basically you are presenting the content for the class. It's about finance, and you have to present the financial concepts. And you get grilled with a very long Q&A. But I like presentations, so I'm biased, and I don't think anyone else would agree with me if they were on this call. But that's okay. That's what I'm going to say is my favorite class. And I think we have a couple more questions in the Q&A.
Yeah, I see one question about U Waterloo as a whole. And so how did you know that you wanted to go to UW? Madeline, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so obviously the process of choosing a university is pretty tough because you have a lot of factors working with you. But basically I kind of like I created like a spreadsheet and said, okay, like what schools can I go to and what matters the most to me. And so I basically thought to myself, okay, well, I'm going to university to get a degree. That's probably my highest priority. And so I chose the university with the best program for me. And then, some other positive aspects of UW. It's a very it has a very entrepreneurial mindset. People do co-op. There's lots of innovative work being done here. There's lots of opportunities for extracurricular. So like I play intramural hockey, but then I'm also like involved with the SFM student organization. So you can definitely do a lot there. And yeah, it was just a very well-rounded school that could offer me the best degree.
And sounds good. So I think we have a question here, and it relates to AFM, but so does AFM graduates have a chance to work in the finance field, or is it mostly accounting? So I believe, Daniel, do you want to take that, or if not, I can take it.
I'm not so sure about the postgraduate stuff, so.
Okay, I know a lot of people that are or close to post grad in AFM. Yeah, no, you have a ton of opportunities to work in finance. It's definitely not just accounting, and I think that's something that when you first hear the name, you're like, oh well, it might just be accounting. Maybe all the co-op jobs are accounting. Yeah, that is definitely not the case. There's lots of opportunities to get into finance, and there's a lot of opportunities to get financial co-ops as well, like that relate to financial markets. So yeah, I wouldn't be worried about that. If you're looking to get into finance and perhaps like maybe you don't want to go the accounting pathway, yeah, it's totally an option, and you can come get your CFA as well, or at least be well on your way to getting the CFA by the time you graduate. It's very helpful. So yeah, that's kind of the answer to that.
Yeah, and another question that's very commonly asked is, are you able to maintain a good work-life balance? And if so, how? Victoria, would you like to provide some insight on that?
So I'll be honest, at the beginning of the year, it was very hard to adjust because I was used to working at home, and then my parents were like very strict with my work ethic. So at first I could maintain it, but however, like by the end of the month, I made my own routine, and that's helped me a lot with staying on track and also enjoying like my time off. So basically, what I would do is I have a daily schedule. Just have a to-do list, and then make sure that everything you can do on that day, and whatever you can't do, prioritize that the next day. And also just plot out your time. So what I did was I went to the UW store to get a giant calendar that you can put on your walls. It's like dry erase. It's really good. I have like a 4-month outline of the whole term and all my due dates. And then from there, I work backwards to set a schedule and to work like that.
It's probably the best answer. That's exactly how I manage my time as well. It makes everything so much easier. So I guess we'll move on. So there's another one. This one's regarding scholarships. So it's just saying like, are there any significant or optional scholarships for AFM that we can apply at this stage in the year? So I know there are quite a few that you get automatically considered for with admission to any program in the School of Accounting and Finance. There are also some optional ones that would be listed in any kind of introduction brochure to the School of Accounting and Finance. So you can definitely take a look in there, and there'll be all the optional ones. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it also lists out the due dates. I don't know the due dates off the top of my head, so I can't give you whether they've passed or not. But I would definitely take a look, and I would also browse through the School of Accounting and Accounting and Finance website. Just browse through there. I'm sure we have tons of materials on that. I know that for sure. So if you go in, and you'll be able to find the due dates there. I don't know which ones have passed, but that's kind of what I would recommend.
Yeah, and I think on the brochure it also says that 99% of students or students who are entering receive an entrance scholarship of some sort. I would also recommend considering OSAP or anything like that, because I know that helped me out a lot in first year. So there are a lot of external sources as well, but definitely consult the SAF brochure if you want to know about SAF specific scholarships. Another question that's very commonly asked is extracurricular activities. So both like activities specific to the School of Accounting and Finance, and then also activities just in general across campus. Daniel, would you like to touch on that or your experience with those?
Yeah, so now that it's like end of March or close to beginning of April, like I'm in this volunteering activity called AFSA Tax Clinic. So a student body called AFSA, Accounting and Finance Student Association, hosts a tax clinic, and as a volunteer, I would just simply file taxes for like people, like mostly students, but it's also like people that are not associated with Waterloo too. So I'm very looking forward to that. And the first section is next week, I believe. Yeah.
And Madeline, I think you mentioned intramural hockey as well as a SFM organization. Would you like to touch on that?
Yeah, sure. So, I wanted to be involved with something that was like program related and not program related, because like being involved with the SFM student organization is very practical. I'm involved as like an education associate. So what I do is kind of like prepare the study guides for all of our exams, and it's very practical because I'm able to study myself. I can network with people in my program, and so it is like a very practical extracurricular. But then I also wanted to do something like outside of the SAF so I could meet people outside of the SAF, kind of like network outside of my program. And that's been really fun because most people on my hockey team are in different faculties and we're all friends. Like we hang out on the weekends. And so that's been really fun to kind of have a mix of like practical extracurriculars and just like ones where you can have fun. So yeah.
And I think I see another question here. So they're just asking, are AFM co-op positions related to accounting and finance, or are they mostly general jobs like quality assurance, coding, etc.? I can start off, and then I guess if anyone has anything else to add, feel free to tag on. But honestly, a lot of the co-op jobs for the School of Accounting and Finance are accounting and finance related. You can apply to any job you want as long as it's on Waterloo Works, and you can apply externally too, and like you can find your own job externally. And then you just have to communicate with the Cooperative Education Center to kind of get that organized. So no, you're not restricted at all in the type of job that you get. But a lot of the ones that are posted on Waterloo Works are finance and accounting related. So you can most people will get co-ops in either like the accounting or finance fields. It's just kind of depending on what you want and where you are in your degree.
Okay, and we've talked a lot about SAF or like accounting and finance so far. I guess another like more generic or general question is talking about classes and how the classes style differed from what you saw in high school. And specifically, you could touch on both classes as well as like midterms and exams, just how the overall academic system kind of differed or what shocked you the most when you came to university. Victoria, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, so obviously there's a lot of big classes with over like 100 students or at least 80, I feel. But yeah, it's a very different experience because the professors are just explaining and everything, and it's very important to find a good listening method because in high school, I feel like since it's more one-on-one, you get used to like um, probably like leaning on other students or something like that. But when you're in a bigger class, you have to actively pay attention, and that may be hard at first, but just try writing notes and eventually you'll get the hang of it. But at the same time, I thought there would be more of those big classes, but there's a lot of smaller classes, which is maybe 20 to 30 students. And I think that's really valuable too, because that's when you actually meet your classmates and get to know them, because I feel like that's slightly harder to do in the bigger classes.
We have one more question in the chat. It's just, is it doable to live in Toronto and commute to Waterloo for school? I kind of opened this up to the floor after. My answer is it depends on how, where you live in the GTA and also what kind of like options you have for commuting. I've heard of people that live like in maybe like Mississauga and they commute every single day and some of them use the Go bus and it's not too bad because they'll just go to Waterloo in the morning and then commute back in the evening once everything's finished and it's kind of time for them to go home. So I would say it's not impossible, but it really depends on your specific situation. I don't know if anyone else has any other experience with that. That's kind of more practical because I've never had to do it myself. But
I can jump in
I
on
think I
this
could.
question. Sorry, I can jump in on this question for commuting to commute back and forth. So it is like Ethan said, it is possible to commute. The GO train has these weekday kind of commuter trains that go in and out of Toronto, so that makes it super easy to get to Union Station or downtown Toronto. I've definitely made a few day trips to and from Toronto, so it is possible. And with just with the emergence of more transit options with the Go buses, Go trains, the Via. I know there's also ride sharing kind of apps, or there's a ride share group chat in for Waterloo to get rides to Toronto and all that. So there's lots of possibilities and ways to get to and from Toronto. And with Toronto only being just a little over an hour um, out of Waterloo, it makes it kind of easy to kind of go in if you ever want to get to know or just walk around the city of Toronto. So it's definitely possible with all the different transit options. Yeah, just dependent on how it works in your schedule and if you can use the commute time part of your day.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Megan, and Ethan for your answers. I think I do see one other question in the chat, which is, sorry, oh no, that one has already been asked. I did want to ask you guys, or specifically Ethan, what's a typical day like on co-op? Because I think that's something that some students might be curious about. And as a second year currently on co-op, you'd probably have a lot of insight on that.
yes, I do. I would say co-op is really your day on co-op kind of depends on like your job. For me, I work across a couple functions, so my day is very depends on the day is my answer to that. But a lot of time, I get up in the morning, I'll go to work, and typically I have a few meetings in the morning. That's kind of when everyone likes to schedule meetings, so it's not later in the day. And if they need to leave early, they can. And then we have a lot of co-op students where I'm currently working, so a lot of us will go and either we'll go out for lunch or we'll have lunch in the office. And we have a couple of, we have like a ping pong table and a pool table in the office. So I'll kind of just go at lunch, and once we're done eating, we'll play a few games of pool. I've been on a bit of a losing streak, the past week, but before that, I was doing pretty good. And then after that, after lunch, it's kind of more, at least in my co-op, it's more individual work. I don't have as many meetings unless there's some kind of emergency that pops up during work. And then typically, yeah, like I'll go home and we have a couple courses like I'm taking a course on top of my co-op term, but we also have like a PD course, so a professional development course that you take while you're on your co-op term. So a lot of the time I'll go home, do a little bit of work on that, and that's pretty much my normal day when it comes to co-op. But yeah, if anyone has any other questions about co-op, you can send them in the chat and I'll answer them. But I think we have another kind of general U Waterloo question here. So how far are the dorms from the school itself? So I don't know who wants to answer that. You know what, we can throw it over to Daniel and kind of let us know.
Yeah, so personally, I don't live in a dorm. So speaking from my friend's experience, I know that most of our first year courses are in the Arts Building, the Heggie Hall. So the dorm that's closest to it, I would say, is probably UWP and like CMH, those area. But the other dorms like V1, MKV, and Rev are all in like walking distance. So it would take like 15 minutes max to get to the South Building. Yeah, so it's not a too bad of a walk. It might be a little uncomfortable in the winter, but it's doable.
For
Yeah,
sure.
I just
And
wanted to
I
jump in on this. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to jump in on this one. Like, I live in a university college. I live in like St. Paul's. Well, it's now called United College, but it takes me about 3 minutes to walk to campus because I'm right by the EV3 building, which is right next to Haggy. So yeah, it is a pretty doable walk from my standpoint.
Sorry. So, yeah, thank you guys for your answers. I'd also like to add that during the winter, it obviously does get cold. And at first, like coming to university, it took me so long to adjust to the amount of walking that you have to do. But the University of Waterloo does have a really cool feature of a lot of bridges and tunnels. And those are so helpful in the winter. So you don't have to go outside and walk in the snow. You can just walk sort of internally. They take a little while to master how to navigate them. But once you do, it's really, really helpful. So that's definitely something to look out for.
I think it
Um,
took me like the full 2 years to figure out how to use those tunnels, and I'm still not very good at it. It looks like we have another question in the chat here. So do you guys remember? Well, it's just asking, when the acceptances are sent out. So I believe they're the same. I don't know. I think they're the same for AFM and SFM, correct? Yeah. So some acceptances will be sent out in early March, and then some in early April, and then the largest like kind of class of acceptances will roll out in early May. So that would kind of be your target. So we're not even close to kind of the wrap of acceptance being sent out. So I wouldn't worry too much about that.
okay,
I'm
another
just
question I see in the chat.
sorry,
Sorry.
just noticing the time. I just know we about like 8 minutes to 2 o'clock, so we'll kind of wrap up with that with all these questions in the chat. Just kind of wanted to let everyone know there's 8 minutes left in this session.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan. I think we can take a few more questions. One that I see here is, are there any mandatory coding or programming courses in AFM? Daniel, I think you mentioned you liked 112, so do you want to take this one?
Yeah, so for our data analytics class, we use a software called R. So it's really not that hard to use compared to like the CS classes or like Java, C++. It's not anything like that. And we also start from like the very beginning, and there's like a lot of instructions they provide with us. So it's nothing that hard to use. And it also like carries on to our second semester in our data analytics 2 class. So it's yeah, it helps us with a lot of assignments, tests. Yeah, and it's really fun to work with.
Definitely. And if I could quickly add on, I would say that the whole course isn't just coding or like learning how to use R. If anything, I would say R is kind of a glorified calculator. It kind of just calculates stuff for you. So I would say don't be nervous about that if that's not something that you think you're really good at. And most of the course, Theo or the professor that we had, he like really walked us through everything super in depth. And it was a lot about also like presenting and sharing your business insights and gleaning those insights from data. So don't be nervous if coding or programming isn't necessarily your best skill.
And I think I saw another one pop in the chat here. So do any of you guys have like work? Like I'm assuming that they're talking about a part-time job here because this is not co-op. And how do you manage that with school? So I don't know if anyone else does. I know I had a part-time job, so I don't know if anyone else has and can start. But
Yeah, I have like a very small part-time job. I just like tutor a high school student for French class, but it's only like an hour and a half a week. So it's not really that much. So I can't speak largely off of like the balance you can get, like, because I mean, I'm not sure if the person that asked this question was kind of referring to a part-time job where you work like 10, 15 hours a week. But I feel like I really stand by my decision to like do a few hours of work a week because it really structures my schedule and I'm kind of motivated to get my schoolwork done before doing my work. And so it almost makes me more productive. So yeah.
Yeah, and I would say I had like a full part-time job where I work like 10 to 15 hours a week. And typically, as long as I scheduled my shifts, and it was one of them where I scheduled my shifts for like 4 months or 3 or 4 months in advance, and I could just schedule it so that it didn't interfere with any of my classes. And honestly, like I think the biggest way to manage it is just make sure that, before you go to work, any work that's due that day, you have it done before you go to work, because by the time you get back, you're not going to want to do it. But that's probably the biggest recommendation I have. But definitely like block out that time and just like, make a mental note of like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to do any work that night after that. At least mine were kind of like later in the evening, and I would end at like 10, 11. And so that was kind of how I did it. Now, obviously depends on the type of part-time job you have. So.
And
Sorry, just to add on, really quick, my job's just like I work 10 to 15 hours every week, but if you find jobs that can let you work in the day, I work from like 7:30 to like 10:30 every few days, and it's very doable if you wake up early.
Okay, thank you guys for sharing your experiences. I think just looking at the time, we have about 4 minutes left, so we can do one final question, and that is, has AFM or SFM lived up to your expectations? And if so, how? And if not, why not? We can go in alphabetical order, perhaps. So Daniel, Madeline, and then Victoria.
Yeah, so I would say AFM like definitely has lived up to my expectation. I make sure to tell my friends this all the time. I think AFM was the right choice for me. And I noticed that like even when I'm studying and I'm going through like a bad test mark, I'm not miserable, like even though it might be difficult. So I think that's a good plus. And yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, like going into SFM, I didn't really have like a lot of expectations just because like this is the first official year of the program, so I really didn't know how it was gonna go. But for the limited expectations that I did have, I guess I definitely would say it lived up to them, because I've had a really good experience in terms of like the people I've met. There's not a lot of people in SFM, so you get really close with your classmates. The classes are really enjoyable. There's a large variation because we take classes in the Faculty of Environment as well as the staff. So you really feel like you're learning a lot. And I'd say I'm pretty passionate about my program. And so it makes the learning of it really that much more enjoyable. So yeah, I would definitely say this program met my expectations.
Yeah, it's as everyone said, met my expectations. I think other than like the academic part of it, there's also a lot of chances to get involved with the school. And there's also a lot of networking events where you can like put yourself out there. And if that's what you're into, if you want to go that extra, AFM is really good for networking and getting to know the actual like business environment.
I agree there. And then I don't know, Megan, do we have time for one more question, or
I
what are you
think we'll
thinking?
just wrap it
Wrap.
up right now. But I just do want to say that if we didn't get to answer your question in chat, please feel free to email us at afm@uwaterloo.ca with your questions, and we'll be sure to get back to you. As well as if you'd like to talk to current students, please feel free to connect with us on Unibuddy. And that gives you the opportunity to ask your questions to students who are in AFM and SFM, and they'll get back to you within 24 hours. So those are great options to reach out and to get your answer questions. So I do just also want to say a big thank you to everyone who came in attendance today. You guys asked great questions, and I just want to say thank you as well to our amazing moderators and panelists for taking the time out of your busy schedule to answer these great questions and have a great conversation about AFM and SFM. With that being said, this presentation is recorded and it will be posted on the University of Waterloo website soon afterwards. So be sure to keep an eye out for that if you want to come back and look at these and hear these questions again. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for attending, and we hope to see you in September of 2023.